Greetings YouTube, Captain Machine. Sorry. Greetings YouTube, Captain Machine here, back for another review. Did promise to do a lot of them, and I have been slacking. I do apologise. So, off the back of Crow Magnus's talk about World of Darkness, I am going to ninja, to use a MMO term, a review for Werewolf the Forsaken, although if you read the title bar, that's probably not a huge shock. This is White Wolf's current World of Darkness setting using werewolves. However, before we talk about this, we're going to do a little history lesson and talk about this. This is Werewolf the Apocalypse. This is the first and last of the werewolf settings that White Wolf did for the old World of Darkness, which they destroyed. And I do mean that literally. Basically, in this, you played werewolves. You were born as werewolves. You weren't made a werewolf. You would become a werewolf during your adolescence or later years during a great deal of stress, where you would experience the first change and become a werewolf. And in this, you were fighting for Gaia, the spirit of the earth. Please, no Captain Planet references, because I'm sure there'll be at least one out there, if anyone cares to do it. And you were fighting to basically stop the world going to crap, because the triad of the Weaver, the Wild and the Worm were out of balance, and the whole place was spiralling into a horrible destructive nightmare known as the Apocalypse, hence the title. And eventually they did actually do it. They actually, after publishing Lord knows how many books, and I was stupid enough to buy them all. No, I actually do enjoy this setting quite a lot, and I do have all the books. I'm quite proud of the fact that I own all the books, and if I ever do go back to running this, I would expect it to be bloody awesome. It would better be for the amount of money I put into it. Either way, eventually they did destroy the setting. They released the Apocalypse as part of the End Times series. They released one for each of the major core rule systems, and they released one for all the other ones added on top of that. And basically it told you how to do the Apocalypse in 3 different ways, and then gave you lots of little ideas on how to do it beyond that. Now, so that was dead. That's dead and buried. Obviously you can still play it if you wish to do so. However, I'm going to avoid talking about it too much because it does break my has to be in print rule with regards to reviewing. So, Werewolf the Forsaken. Right, okay, I'm going to unfortunately have to resort to doing comparisons between this and Werewolf the Apocalypse because it invites it, considerably so. First of all, this was the second of the supernatural line that World of Darkness released with the new World of Darkness. Obviously the new World of Darkness came out with the core rulebook first, which gives you rules for mortals, and the actual core rules themselves. Then Vampire came out, and Vampire has always been the most popular setting, ergo comes out first, makes sense. Now Werewolf, to my knowledge, has always been the second most popular setting, so it's not ironic at all that it came out second, and Mage shortly followed it. It's good. I really like it. It is a tiny bit thinner than Werewolf the Apocalypse, but when you consider the fact this has got a complete rule set in it, and this one doesn't because there is already a rule set book published for it, it gives you a lot more room to add some fluff or some extra special stuff that only werewolves have access to. So that is not an issue whatsoever. In fact, there's probably more bang for your buck in here than there was in the original Werewolf of the Apocalypse. A big complaint of the old World of Darkness system was constantly having to rebuy the same rules over and over and over again. But because they were each published in different time frames, as in like 6 to 12 months between each publication, the rules were subtly changed each time, which meant it was hard to do crossovers. And obviously the World of Darkness system as it stands at the moment is built to do crossovers, because everything, including these guys, are all started mortal characters, and you apply a template on top of it, in this case a werewolf template. Now, you are born a werewolf in this too. No huge shock there really. Well, White Wolf know when to keep things the same, know when to see a winning formula and they stick to it. Now, however, they did make some very, very significant changes. First of all, you are not a warrior in part of this intergalactic super battle between these 3 elemental forces that have completely out of whack. No, in this, it's much more down-to-earth, grassroots campaign. In the fact that you are descendants from Father Wolf, and Father Wolf's job was to make sure that nothing from the spirit world got into the real world and vice versa. So basically, you are spiritual police, if you want to use the most vulgar reference I can think of, and in that you basically guard your territory, as any wolf would do, following their instincts, and while you're in that territory and around it, you stop the gauntlet which is the wall between the spirit world and the real world being broken down, and spirits coming through and causing all kinds of mayhem. There isn't a huge emphasis on secrecy like there is in Vampire, purely because werewolves have the ability to invoke lunacy in people, whereby being anyone that sees a full-blooded werewolf running around in its war form generally tends to either forget or explain away what they've just seen, so they have little or no memory of it. Although there is a certain element of a masquerade-style secret to it, but it doesn't play a massive part into it. Also, some of the key battles take place in the spirit world, which there's no human witnesses to anyway, so not a big deal. Now, it builds on the 5x5 template, which Vampire pioneered. Vampire the Masquerade, Requiem, that is, not Vampire Masquerade. In Vampire you had 5 clans and 5 covenants, so you had a combination of 25 different possible outcomes in regards to character concepts. In this you have 5 auspices, which is the moon you were born under, which dictates your role within the organisation of werewolves, and then your tribe. And the tribes are voluntary. They're not compulsory sometimes, because in Vampire, due to the political nature of it, you can be forced into joining a covenant you don't want to join. But in this, the totem spirit of the tribe will not accept you if you do not actually want to become a willing participant in all this. In fact, there is an entire section in here on what to do if you don't like any of the tribes in question. Speaking of the tribes, they've cut them down from 13, I believe the original number was in the Apocalypse, to 5. Is that a good thing? Yes. You're damn right it is. First of all, none of the tribes are based around ethnic origins, which was the biggest stumbling block that Werewolf the Apocalypse suffered from. Because when you were trying to run a campaign, say like in America or England or anything like that, you had to really stretch to figure out why a Geta Fenris from mainly Germanic would be in New York, why Black Furies would be there when they're mainly from Greece. Why is it White Furies? White Talons. I forget the names. Either way, basically, yeah, a lot of the tribes were based around parts of the world, and they weren't anywhere near them. Silent Striders, most of them based around Egypt, and what are they doing outside of Egypt if that's where they're supposed to be based? But there you go. So they got around that problem quite quickly, so I'm quite happy about that. Also, the rule system for the New World Darkness is a lot more streamlined than the old system. However, there's one slight problem with that. Because of the way combat is resolved and you don't have a soak roll anymore,